In this week's video, we're going to get my pond, sky pond, fitted back to the pond. A little bit different though this year, because a couple of videos ago, was it last one? I don't know. Somebody asked about filling these tanks. When you put this upside down aquarium onto your pond, it's obviously upside down, you need to draw the air out of it and put the water in. How do you do it? So yeah, just grab some hose pipe, suck the air out, put the hose pipe up in things, like this. And it just takes the air out, and then it makes a vacuum and pulls the water back in. So our viewer asked about a Venturi? Anyway, so he asked about that and different ways of putting the water into these tanks. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Some different ways other than using the hose pipe. I mean, to me, that's the easiest way, but people are asking. So this is Koi Pond Lifestyle. We've got Knocker who tried it, and it's going to be a bit of a school day. I've been working on some ideas with the Venturi thing, so I'm going to have a look at those and show you those today, which should be interesting as well, hopefully. And go from there. So let's get everything out first. I've got the covers off now for the day. Oh, nice. Weather's not too brilliant though. Never mind. Covers are going to be off permanently soon. It might be today, I don't know, depends what I decide. So covers are off to do this video, and we're going to get the frame, get the tank, put the tank on, and start looking at different ways of drawing the air out and putting the water in. Out, in. Let's crack on. So let's get started. So the first method I've always used is the hose pipe. So this is where basically you just stick the hose pipe up into the tank, expel the air that's just been put in the hose pipe that you've done water, and then just suck the air out. And it takes all the air out and makes a vacuum to put it back in. But I've got a couple of viewers that have created these now, and they're getting a bit sick of having to do the sucky outy bit. So we're going to look at some different ways to maybe make life a little bit easier. I don't know, let's try. Right, method number one we're going to try today is quite a no-brainer for me, to be honest, but it's a pain in the arse setting it all up, is the pond vac. So to be honest, when I first made these, I was going to use a pond vac all the time, but you'll see in a minute, I've got to take the damn thing out. I sort of store it away, get it out, you've got to wire it all up, you've got to get all the cables out, you've got to get all the things out, just for 10 seconds of chucking some air out. So let's have a look and see if I can find it first. Let's get the pond vac out. Right, the Oasi. I've had this quite a few years now. I used to have it with my old pond because the old pond didn't have a bottom drain in it, so I had to hoover it out every now and again. But I'm thinking this could just quite easily just draw all the air out of there. So we'll rig this up and then have a quick blast of you whether that works. Wow, that was like 5 seconds and it was full. It took me 20 minutes plus to set it up, 5 seconds to do the job, and it's going to take me 10 to 15 minutes to put it back away again. Let's move on to the next one. Right then, a Venturi. I've done quite a bit of reading up on a Venturi. And a Venturi is basically a section of pipe with a restriction somewhere in the middle that lowers the pressure of fluid as it rushes past. You can then open a gap above where the fluid is coming through, and it will draw air in as the pressure increases through the choke or the reduction in a pipe, created way back in the 18th century by a Giovanni Battista Venturi. Bloody history lesson today. So I've been playing around with pipes and restricting pipes through to make a Venturi to see if that will draw the air from the sky pond and replace it with water. So I bought some sections of 21.5 millimeter waste pipe from that big hardware place with a big orange sign on the front door. So I bought some sections of pipe, cut them up, and what I've done is I put a little restrictor end on one of them. So that is now where the fluid will flow through, but I will reduce its pressure as it comes through here, through this T-piece. So that will go in there, I'll have another one in there, so the water will flow through. But then as the pressure, the Venturi is created, it should, as if I stick the pipe on there, so hopefully water will flow in there, through and out the other side, and then air will be drawn in through there and out in the same direction. So in one way, I suppose I'm killing a couple of birds with one stone here, because I'll be aerating the pond at the same time. Just that I've got to create this flow of water through it. So I'm going to get the hose pipe, got a little connection bit, stick on the end, hose pipe on there, blow water through, suck air into here, air and water fill sky pond, in theory. Let's try it. Right then, so cut my Venturi as I've told you. I basically just made some slits and put that in, so I'm going to just glue around this now just to seal that and make it sealed with a bit of tape. So this is to restrict the whole in bit, out bit, and this bit will go in there. I'm going to glue that in because I want it to be a nice tight seal. I don't want any air to get in. Glue I'm using is in E6000, it's supposed to be waterproof. So we'll wang that in there, and then the outy bit, this bit doesn't matter, either end can be the same on these, and this is going to be the bit that goes up. This bit will go up into the tank itself. So tie that up a little bit around there. So because I'm going to be using a hose pipe, I've just got one of these tap ones that you put over your tap to put on this end, so I can connect the hose pipe to it. So that'll be on the end there, and then just that's not going to be glued on, that's just going to be just tied on with the its own Jubilee clip. And there you have it, a homemade Venturi. Wonder if Mr. Venturi is looking down at me now going, you got that wrong. I know, don't knock it, till tried it, we haven't tried it yet. Give it a whirl, eh? There we go, stand back a little bit, show you. Water in this way, water passes all the way through the squeeze bit in the middle, which should draw air in from the top and blow out and mix with the water. Drawing air in from the tank. Let's get it dried out. Right, I've had to go on to the next day because so many things happening around me, and the glue didn't go off, so I've had to wait until the next day. So let's start from giving the Venturi a blast. Because I'm going to use the hose pipe, obviously I've got to be careful on the chlorine content of the water, so I'm going to have to use that to reduce the amount of chlorine that I'm going to be pumping into the pond. So I can instantly think to myself, right, if I'm using the hose pipe, I'm going to be wasting water. No, not really, because this is how deep the pond is when my tank is empty. And as soon as I fill this with its 100 litres, that's 100 litres of water that has disappeared, and we're down to like 1.5 inches in the whole pond. So I end up topping that up through a trickle in anyway. So if I'm going to be using my hose pipe to hopefully get this Venturi thing to work, to blow water in, to suck air out, but I'm putting water in, is I'm actually replacing the water as I'm taking it away to fill the tank. Let's see. So there you go. So that's what we're going to do. So let's see if it works just with the hose pipe. I've got another idea as well, actually. If it doesn't, I've got another idea as well that overnight I was like, ping. It happens every now and again, that does. Scary. Right, I'm just going to chuck it in the drink and see if it works as a Venturi first before I start trying to empty the tank, because the tank's full of water at the moment, so I've got to empty that. So I'm just going to give it a blast, see if it actually works as a Venturi. Right, so that works, that's pretty good. So let's get the water out of this, back into here, and then we'll see if we can use the Venturi to suck all the air out and put the water back in. Right then, let's get it in the tube. Let's get it in the tank. Okay, I'm going to time it. It'll be interesting as well, because once this is done, the pond should be topped up as well, because I'm topping up as well as taking water away and into the tank. So hopefully not wasting too much water. Well, that's working. Right, it looks like as it's getting towards the top now, it seems to be struggling to pull the air, the remaining 2 inches of air out of the tank. I don't know whether the air pressure is starting to get lower now, or it's just not drawing, I don't know. Right, that's interesting. It's virtually come to a stop now, where it doesn't seem to want to suck anymore. It's just basically blowing water in, which is just basically filling the pond, which I don't want to do because I'm starting to waste water now. So let me go back to my second idea. No, my third idea. Anyway, the second idea to do this. We'll see if I can make this work. Right, just had a look in the filter system where the overflow is, and it looks like the water that was coming out my tap was way outdoing the water that was going into the tank itself. So out the tap is faster than it was going into the tank, putting the air, taking the air out. As you can see by my overflow here, is overwhelmed. So there was more water going in than into the pond from the tap than there was going into the tank itself. So I've come to a grinding halt with that now. The Venturi works, you know, I'm happy with that. It's just getting the rest of that air out of there. So let's get on with this other idea. Right, while I was in the loft yesterday, I found a submersible pump. No idea when I bought it. I think we had one of those large blow-up swimming pools one time, and I was trying something about pumping water around, and I don't know, I can't remember what I was doing, but anyway I bought one of these, which is a 115 litre 8 metre rise. So you can put this down 8 metres and it will pump up 8 metres. Well, this pond's only 5 foot deep anyway, so that should be ample. 400 watts, so it's a bit of a gas guzzler. But I'm thinking if I just attach the pipe to here, and then I'm just basically circulating the water that's already in the pond and blowing through the Venturi, which does work. So I'm not putting any more water in here. The other thing is I'm using power to run this. and I don't know how long it'll take. I've stopped that now because we're about 2 or 3 inches off, and I was on 20 minutes or so of running water flat out, which is not really what I wanted to do because it was affecting the overflows. So I'm going to get this wired up, I'm going to get this plumbed in, stick the pipe on there, get the Venturi running again, see what happens. Right, we're all wired in, plumbed in, so I'm going to chuck this in. This is now connected to my Venturi, and we're going to pump the water through and see what happens. Right, interesting. Put it back up into the tank. Hold it outside. Brilliant, works as a Venturi. Excellent. Blowing air in really well. Stick it up in the tank. It won't draw any of the air out. Dead interesting. So why won't that? Anyway, it won't pull it into the pipe to meet the Venturi at the bottom and make it work. So it looks like if you've got a smaller tank maybe, but it doesn't seem to be able to fill these tanks. And I got rid of my old one, so I can't even try it in the old tank either. Dead interesting. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because the fish have wanted to come up into this tank, so I'm going to pull the rest of the air out my way with the hose pipe and let the fish play while we have an evaluation to see what's been going on. So let's have a look at the 3 methods that we use for this Venturi thing and which works better. Without using the Venturi, the pond vac, 5 seconds. If it can be bothered to set it all up and then de-rig it again for 5 seconds. So for me, no, because I have to get it out. I can't leave it somewhere because I only need it, once every blue moon, whenever I take that off, and set it up and de-rig it and then put it all back again. So for me, not really. The pump, yeah, that seemed to work with the Venturi actually, the same as it did with the water. So I thought the pump was quite a good idea because I didn't waste any water, which is what I found with the hose pipe. Was you're just chucking loads of water, you're chucking more water in than you are taking out of the tank. So yeah, for me, if I was doing a water change, then I'd probably do half with this and then finish off with the pump. And then finally, the good old piece of hose pipe. This is for me. Takes what, 5-ish, 6 minutes, I think I've timed it, for like 7 or 8 minutes to basically put it in, suck the air out and away you go. So for me, I shall continue to use this as the main source. If I'm doing a water change, I'll probably get that pump out, might even use the tap. But let's have another look at that Venturi thing, because I'm dead impressed with that. Right, so the Venturi itself, fantastic. Yeah, worked really well. I was dead chuffed with how that worked. I believed it was going to, but the crucial thing with it is making sure that you get this restriction of air from one end of the pipe just in the right place. So I sort of played around with it a little bit, and you've got to literally get it when it's actually in the pipe, so it's not quite in the level. So this bit, when you've got it in, has only got to be literally to about there, so that the water rushes past and then draws this opening to make it work. And you can make these as big or as little as you want. You know, this is the smaller version that I made. You know, with some smaller pipe, you can do smaller versions, I suppose. So yeah, dead chuff with that. I think the water one wasted too much water. There was too much water having to pass through to make it work, which was a little bit disappointing, but I don't know what you could do with that. I was lucky I had that pump. You know, I just found a pump in the loft when I was pulling down the pond vac. So I was lucky to find that, because otherwise I'd have had to use it something else. The reason I don't think it worked all the way to the top, because there's a lot of water in there. You know, that tank's got a lot of water in it. You've got 100 litres of water in that tank. So you convert that into weight, you know, it's got to be at least 100 litres equals 100 kilograms. So it would have had a lot of weight to try to pull up just with that amount of water flowing through, that I couldn't increase because I couldn't increase the water flowing through the tap, and I couldn't increase the water flowing through the pump because the pump was at maximum as well. So I think that's why it failed on the last sort of 2 or 3 inches, which I just topped up with the hose pipe. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know how I fitted my Sky Pond upside down aquarium, watch this video and it'll tell you how I upgraded from the smaller one to the larger one. Thanks very much for watching. Quip on lifestyle.